You think you get up front to ensure they actually get good service?
I'm against it, John.
I am accepting tips up front. Okay, so I'm giving the people what they want, more social media stuff. So social media and online tools, for some of you who have met with us, maybe a refresher, but at the end we will go over some chat GPT, which is exciting stuff to kind of help you get to know that new tool and how it can aid you in your social media and other aspects of your business as well. So first, just so I can get a gauge, how many of you are on social media in a business capacity? So not just your personal accounts. Okay, perfect. So some of you are wanting to get onto the platform in a business capacity. Okay, cool. All right, and who uses Facebook? Show of hands. Who uses Instagram? Who uses Instagram more than Facebook? Only a few. Okay, cool. So we'll go over Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. How many of you use LinkedIn day to day? Not a single person. Okay, cool. All right. So first of all, we'll go over the benefits of, can we get that off the screen or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Gotcha.
We'll go over the benefits of social media. A lot of people wonder, why do I need to be on these platforms? I'm doing everything else. How can social media benefit me? Well, it gives you improved visibility. We do most of our searching, our learning, our discovering online. Improved credibility. So I don't know about you, but the first thing I do when I'm looking for an established professional is I'll Google. And if you don't come up in any capacity in a search, then I'm probably not going to give you much credibility. Improved insights. So social media, it's not a guessing game. A lot of people think marketing in general is a guessing game. It's not. You can get very detailed insights. So those are your analytics, where you can see who's interacting with what, who is acting on what exactly are people clicking on, what are they engaging with, how long are they engaging with things. Very improved insights. Improved searchability is the same as credibility. So when we're looking you up on those online platforms, with you being on social media, Facebook, Instagram especially, those profiles will come up in a search for you. So even if you do not have a website with strong authority, Facebook and Instagram have one of the highest authorities. So that means those profiles will come up a lot of times before your website will. Improved engagement. So you're interacting with people easier and more often, and improved targeting. So you're able to actually use detailed targeting to reach your preferred audience. Are you in the way?
No, we're good.
I'm wondering if you're blocking it. Is it not working?
I'm just trying to ensure that you get a good applause at the end. So
I feel like
it's,
all the technology goes out when I do that.
I'm gonna try to change it for you, I think, on here. We can.
So how's everyone doing today?
I got it.
Okay. Cool. All right. And one of the primary reasons why we need to be on these social platforms is the marketing rule of 7. So a lot of you have heard me talk about this before. The marketing rule of 7 has actually increased. It's closer to 13. So it's almost doubled at this point. And what that means is by engaging with a client 7 times or more, so think closer to 13 times or more, you are more likely to gain the trust of that business or client. But what it also means is it takes 7 or more interactions with your brand before a client can recall your messaging. So they have to see your face 7 times, your name 7 times, your messaging 7 times or more before they can even recall that messaging. Yes.
How often, a week, a year, a day?
7, the frequency.
Yeah.
I know a fraction. It's 1.47, I believe. But as far as in the span, most campaigns run 45 to 60 days. So within a 45 to 60 day span. So what that means is on your social platforms, that frequency, if you're posting on your Instagram, on your Facebook, on your LinkedIn, depending on who your target audience is, that's going to give you 3 of those 7 times. So that's why we also want you to be on your email, your SMS, which is your texting. We want you to be making those phone calls. If you're doing paper ads, if you're doing billboards, all of these mediums exist because you have to reach that amount of interactions before they'll recall your messaging. So make your life a lot easier by getting on these social platforms, because most of the time these people are seeing your messaging on your timeline more than once. If you're running an ad, Facebook, Instagram, Meta in general intentionally gives you more impressions. So there's an analytic that shows frequency, and it'll show you how many times each person has seen your message. So these platforms make that role a lot easier to reach. Choosing a platform. You do not need to be on every platform. I think this is the biggest mistake I see a lot of people make. I've talked about this before, where in this business, it seems like you all were given a checklist that said you need to be on all these social platforms. So you make a Facebook business, you make an Instagram account, maybe you're on TikTok, maybe you're on Snapchat, and you're trying to figure out at the same time how to master all of these platforms and get optimal results. That's not going to work. What I recommend doing is picking the platform that you're most comfortable with. So when I asked you in the beginning here, who's on Facebook, who's on Instagram, pick the one that you're most comfortable with and master that one first. Also, you want to keep in mind what platform your audience is on. So when you're sitting here and you're thinking about who I'm trying to reach, who's my client persona, who's that ideal person I wish that I could do business with every single day, we'll think about which platform we need to be on. So here are some demographics for you. So Facebook is the most popular social platform for men and women. They have, I believe it is 2.9 billion users. But most of the people on this platform are between the ages of 35 and 44. Instagram is the most popular platform for ages between 16 and 24, but 30% of Instagram users, so that 2.35 billion, are millennials. And the good news is 60% of those users are a member of a household with an annual income of $100,000 or more. So Instagram's going to have more of your home buyers on it. LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a business social media platform. So this is going to be your B2B platform if you're doing recruitment, if you're trying to build partnerships with LOs, with builders, what have you. LinkedIn will be that platform that you establish yourself as an industry professional. They've got 930 million users, but fun stat, one of my favorite things to know about Instagram is only 2% of these 930 million users are content contributors. So what that means is everyone else is just sharing that 2%. So LinkedIn is a great place for you to get on and share original content and have that content shared with multiple people. Are there any questions about the platforms?
Do you go over YouTube at all? Or
We can go over YouTube if you have questions on YouTube. YouTube is a little bit more intricate. It's mainly relies on SEO, which is your search engine optimization. So in order to fully understand YouTube, you kind of have to understand SEO. But the good news is ChatGPT can help you with that too. So, but YouTube is something that we can go over in the future. We don't go over it with this just because it functions differently than these platforms. Okay, so what content works once you choose your platforms? We've got the 80-20 rule. So the 80-20 rule, I've learned that most people do this backwards, but the 80-20 rule means that 80% of your content should add value to your audience and should be personal. So 80% of your content should be about you, who you are, why we should work with you, why you're a professional in this industry. 20% should directly promote your business. So when you're getting these social graphics from marketing, so if we send you, for example, holiday graphics, if you get rent first buy graphics, if you get advantages of being a home buyer graphics, anything along those lines, that should only occupy 20% of your timeline. So if you're looking at your Instagram and it's all business related, it's all telling you this is the best paint color for your house, or this is how you should garden. Those are business related. We want to know who you are as a person. We want that human centric content. So that's when you get on and you show me what about you is relatable. What about you makes me feel like I should trust you. It's not that you're telling me what the most popular paint color for spring is. I want to know what hobbies you have, what interests you have, where you what local businesses you support. But it all should be more human-centric, personal content, 80%. 20% says, hey, by the way, I'm a realtor. Does that make sense? Okay, more content that works. So value-driven, human-focused, SEO-driven, high relatability, high value, which is research-driven, consistency, and high empathy. So I'll go over each of these. So with the value driven and the high value research driven. So what that means is, what am I gaining from following you? So an example of a value driven post, if it was business related, it would be you telling me about the market, you actually getting on there and helping me understand something that I don't understand. A lot of times we'll get on these platforms in this industry and we'll use a lot of acronyms. We'll just share a post, assuming that people understand the context of that post or what it means or how it works or why it should be important to me. A value-driven post would be you telling me that conforming loan limits changed and this is why I should care. This is why it matters to me. This is what's going on in the market, and this is how it affects me directly. When you get on and you just generally share this information with no context, you're assuming that the average person following you knows way more than they do. We want you to break it down. We want you to make it relatable to me. Human focused content. So back in 2018, that's when social media made a real switch where they quit prioritizing businesses. That's when things changed, where it was maybe about 1% of your followers were receiving your messages if you were a business platform. The way that you get around that is you post human-centric content, human-focused content. We want to feel something. We want to have the high empathy, the high feeling, the emotional driven content. We want it to be highly relatable. We want to see something that you post and say, oh, I like them because I like that too. She likes yoga, I like yoga. She plays soccer, I play soccer. The relatability. SEO driven is kind of what we were talking about with YouTube. SEO driven content that works is when you do your research and you find those keywords that people are engaging with, people are interested in this market, but also in the market that you want to be in, and you incorporate those into your long form copy. And then consistency, that falls within that that marketing rule of 7. So with consistency, brand recognition, the reason why we have these colors, the reason why we have these patterns, the reason why you see these over and over again, that's brand recognition. So a lot of times when we're just creating something on Canva, or we're hiring someone to post our social and they don't have our brand guide, they don't have anything consistent to follow. You'll look at your social media accounts and everything's going to look like it was created by somebody different. There's nothing that you can post that I'll see on my timeline as an individual piece and I can say, oh, hey, that was Brenda Lee's. You need to have consistency in your voice and in your aesthetic for people to start recalling your message and recalling your brand.
So Brittany, are you saying like if you're doing, say you're doing videos or certain things, would you like wear the same outfit every time?
You could.
I'm just curious because you said aesthetics, so I just didn't know,
So
like,
it actually, I mean, when you think about it, think about like Steve from Blue's Clues.
right,
He wore the same outfit every time and he's highly recognizable because of that.
sure.
You don't have to do that. You could do something that works in the same way. Like, for example, if you wanted to give like market tips every Monday. I know some people who have a corner in their office that's set up just for shooting video. And they sit in that corner every time, and that's recognizable for you. You know, when you see that background or stage, so to speak, that it's Market Tip Monday. So things along those lines, but it would mainly be like on video, we'll talk about getting captions on all of your video, but using the same font color on your videos, using the same layout, using kind of trying to use the same lighting. Some people I know will post all of their videos while they're walking. So it's like their morning walk and they just do a little selfie video, but it's recognizable. You know that they're going to talk about a specific topic or a specific series because of the consistency. So no, you don't have to wear the same shirt every time. You can wear the same colors if you want to, but you definitely don't need to.
Thanks.
Emotional branding. So emotional branding, emotion is one of the most powerful assets to use when marketing. So we've talked about creating human-centric content. The thing about these platforms is they want you to stay on the platform as long as possible, and they want you to feel something. So when consumers recognize a brand, they store a memory in their brain that naturally assigns an emotion to it. This happens innately, guys. So sometimes that brand ticks you off, but you don't want that to happen for you. So it's your job to determine what that emotion should be. Is it happiness? Is it love? Does your brand trigger nostalgia, satisfaction, surprise, inspiration? I'm trying to think of the new commercial that's out right now, but they play "This Is How We Do It, It's Friday Night" song. Yeah, and so but they rephrase it for the new brand. So that would be an example of nostalgia, bringing back an old song and repurposing it. Happiness, that would be getting people to laugh or engage in a positive way. Inspiration, I think, is the one that a lot of people have trouble with, but you in this industry can do a lot of stuff with inspiration. That would be an example of explaining how you worked with a single mom and you helped her and her 3 kids move from an apartment into a forever home. That would be inspiring somebody, letting them know, like, this woman thought that it wasn't possible, but I worked with her for 13 months and we finally got to this point and now they're happier than they've ever been. That would be inspiring. So it's your job to determine what kind of emotion you want to evoke in your marketing. And you kind of need to be consistent with that. So you don't want to switch back and forth from being the funny guy and then being the inspirational guy and then like the nostalgia. If you are, then just figure out how it all meshes together. But the more you can evoke that emotion consistently throughout all of your branding, the better. So how do we do that? What creatives work? So short video, we all know video performs 1,200 times better than any other creative. So that's talking about written copy. That is your static images. Those are your cinemagraphs. Video is always going to perform better. Long form copy right now is going to perform better than short copy. So long form copy, that's your storytelling copy. So some of you may have heard me talk about above the fold. So above the fold is a newspaper term where you put all of the most engaging stories above the fold because you wanted people to open that newspaper and read it more. Well, your above the fold on social media is that read more button. So that area that hits before the read more button, that's your most important real estate when it comes to copy. So every time you can get somebody to hit that read more button and stay on the platform longer, stay on your posts longer, you're going to be rewarded. User generated. Oh, the long form copy also, this works great for SEO if you're trying to get people to improve, if you're trying to improve your searchability. User generated copy. So this would be if you're sharing a meme, if you're sharing a reel that you saw. User generated copy, there are entire accounts that are completely based on your user generated copy, and they've curated it to fit an emotion. So that's kind of those accounts where you follow like I follow one that's it's 30 something, I can't remember, but it's all of these nostalgic posts about, you're 31, and so there's videos and there's memes about it, but it's entirely user generated content. The owner of that account does not create anything on her own. So oh, did somebody say something?
No.
Oh.
I'm just checking online.
Oh,
Sorry.
no phones, Ruby.
We have 8 people online. I just told them you can ask questions if you need to.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
I'm kidding though. So interactive copy or interactive content. So your interactive content, that would be, they used to tell you to just ask a question on every post. And I wonder how many people ever got a question, a question back or an answer back. But now they've made it easier for you where you can actually put a little sticker or button on your content to get people to engage with, like a survey or the love slider where you can slide something all the way to the end. But interactive content is always great. You don't want to bait people into it necessarily. So sometimes you'll see people say, leave me a comment below with what you're doing this Friday night or something. That is usually a little bit too forward. You want it to usually be involved with some of the interactive features or write something compelling enough that people choose to engage with it. Podcasts, of course, work. For this business, it's mainly giving you more social content. What you've probably noticed is that a lot of people will take their podcast and record them now. So they'll record a video of their podcast and post it, which works great. The reason I like podcasts is because you can stretch that content. So if you're shooting a podcast and you're doing a video shoot with it as well, you can do little vignettes and share that. You can also pull those sound bites off and just put a sound overlay over a static image. There's a couple ways that you can repurpose a podcast, but podcasts are more of that long form content. And then motion graphics are great. So motion graphics are animated graphics or cinemagraphs. The nice thing about those is you can take a static image and plug them into certain platforms and they'll just add motion for you. And that will give you a little bit of leverage in the algorithm on both Facebook and Instagram. Instagram Reels. Yeah.
So I've done a little research into that because I'm starting a podcast.
Sure.
It's interesting if you're doing a video, a YouTube channel versus a podcast, the advertisers will pay more for 10,000 subscriptions on podcasts than they will for 100,000 views on YouTube. And the reason that is those that are listening to a podcast are either driving, mowing the lawn, jogging. They're gonna listen to the whole thing and they want some 30 minutes or longer, maybe even an hour, where YouTubes are surfing. And so you gotta have something shorter, 15 minutes back.
Yeah. So, and YouTube's interesting with their advertising as well, just from the opposite end of my experience with placing ads. You do have to pay more, obviously, for them to not be able to skip the ad. And I think that's a big reason why podcasts would be more appealing as well, because you're not able to skip that advertisement at all on a podcast. But on YouTube as an advertiser, unless you pay the additional fee and you create your ad to be specific for a non-skippable ad, then we can skip it after like 10 seconds. Yeah. So but Instagram, the reels and statistics. Real statistics. So reels receive 22% more interaction than a regular video on Instagram. I don't think that's a surprise to anyone. So 2.35 billion people interact with reels every month. And the highest Instagram reels engagement rates, this is something that you want to know, they're actually obtained by accounts that have 5,000 followers or less. So a lot of times we're thinking, oh, I don't have 10,000 followers. I don't have a million followers. Nobody's going to see what I'm posting. They're actually viewed more by accounts with a smaller amount of followers. And then according to Meta's report, 53.9% of Instagram Reel advertisement audience are male. So that's something to keep in mind. And then 46.1% are the female. But so when we're thinking about who we want to attract or what our target audience should be, this would be a great way to decide whether you want to do an in-platform video or a reel. Are there questions specifically about reels?
I'm not on Instagram, so what exactly is the reel?
Okay. Oh, I've got another thing for you on that too. But so the reels are the it's the portrait style videos. They're short form, so they can be about 90 seconds or only 90 seconds or less on Instagram. So do you know what TikTok is? So the reel style originated on TikTok, and then Instagram adapted it because it was performing so well and taking off so well. But the nice thing about reels is you can kind of curate them to your audience. So if you're trying to evoke like that happy, that fun, you can do the in-platform sound effects. So it's kind of hard to explain if you've
So the
never seen it before. Essentially, but they don't sell you. So so the reels don't act as a direct sales. So typically a reel is the perfect way to backdoor your way in. So most of the time when you see a reel that's a paid advertisement, it doesn't look any different than a reel that I posted or anyone else in this room posted. So they seamlessly intertwine them in with that organic content. So you don't ever feel attacked like you're being sold.
Yeah, it actually engages you to follow the page and then follow their content. So it's not indirect sales, but if you're following that, like, hey, that was awesome, and then go to the page and go look at what else they got. I think that's one thing, but if you can share a little bit more about, let's say someone's doing a real estate reel or on a few properties or how they do the business. How are they supposed to target a certain audience? Are they hashtagging? Are they just posting a reel on their page or their story?
Yeah, so we'll talk about hashtag. So the reel, the main reason to use a reel is because it's the highest performing creative on the platform at this time.
Can you just quickly explain, because I think it can be confusing, why you'd use a reel over like a video, because they're both video form, basically.
Yeah, and that's exactly why. So in the algorithm, certain content takes priority. So reels have the highest authority out of anything. And it used to work that influencers were paid to post reels by Instagram because they were trying to get reels to take off. Now reels have taken off so incredibly well that they've taken that incentive away. But reels have the highest priority in the algorithm. So if you post a reel over a video, then that reel is going to be pushed out stronger by Instagram. Where if you post just an in-platform video, which they look the same now, there's no difference in how they look at this point. It'll just say post at the top or reel at the top. That's really the only difference at this point. It even pushes it to Facebook as a reel if you do a posted video. But the reel just takes priority in the algorithm. So the advantage of using the reels is just for trending topics. So if you use the trending audio, so if any of you have done a reel and it gives you the option to add audio, it's going to show you first suggested for you, and then it's going to show you trending. Using that trending audio is going to boost you in the algorithm. Using hashtags effectively, which we'll talk about in detail a little later, is going to boost your reach. But the main reason to use reels is because that creative is prioritized in the algorithm. So it will automatically be pushed out more than any other type of creative that you do. So that means a static image, that means a meme, that means just a regular posted video. So that's a main advantage.
And you can also set them up too, right, where it's goes to more people other than just your followers.
That's setting your profile up that way.
Yes.
So yeah, when you set your profile up, if it's private, then it's only going to go to your followers. If you have a professional profile, which you all should have, then it's going to be pushed out into the discovery, and that's where your hashtags can help you. So your hashtags won't help you at all if your profile is private. So most of these tools will not help you at all if you have a private account. So you really need to switch to a professional account if you're not already on one. Otherwise, you are limited to just your followers and just a percentage of your followers. That doesn't mean everyone who follows you is going to see what you're posting. So here are some of the tips and tricks for that. We'll skip down to hashtags since that's been brought up a couple times. So hashtags are probably used incorrectly 90% of the time from people that I work with. So hashtags, what they're designed to do is get you into a space that you're not already in, or into a space that you want to be more predominant in. So a lot of times people will post a photo and they'll do hashtag century 21, hashtag realtor, hashtag sales, hashtag all of these things that you already are, that you're already a part of. But who do you want to see this post? It doesn't matter if century 21 sees it. So we don't need a hashtag century 21. It doesn't matter really if other realtors see it. So we don't need a hashtag realtor. But what we do want to think about is, who do we want to see this post? Who is this going to be important to? So is that first time home buyers? Maybe it is, but we would not want to hashtag first time home buyers. Does anyone know why? First time home buyers has millions of followers, millions of people who are using first time home buyers. That means your content is competing with millions of other people who are posting. So what we want to do is think about what a first time home buyer might also be interested in. So this is kind of why we build client personas. So maybe a first time home buyer is interested in hiking. Maybe a first time home buyer is interested in family related things. We want to think of other interests that a first time home buyer would be following, and those are the hashtags that we use. We don't use hashtags for the spaces that we're already in. Does that make sense?
That's so good that you went over that, because I think most people do. Right?
Yeah. A lot of people think hashtags are just for fun. They're kind of like aesthetics, but hashtags are really what get you discovered. So that's how you end up into that discovery space.
So where the majority of first time homebuyers are using FHA loans, would you do hashtag FHA?
What you would think about in that respect is, why are they using FHA loans? Because it's me as a first time home buyer, I'm not going to get on Instagram and search FHA loan because I have no idea what that is. But I might get on there and search something that, yeah, I might get on there and search something that that would put me in the space where I would need to use an FHA loan.
To that point, so I was always taught too that you want to put in terms that people do search. So would you put like Utah real estate market, or
Yep.
Salt Lake City real estate market, or things like that?
Yep. Do you guys all know how to research your tags on Instagram? So when you go to the search area on your Instagram, and you type something in, so Utah real estate, for example, there's accounts, and then there's a little button that says tags, and you click tags. And when you click tags, what it's going to show you is Utah real estate. All of the hashtags that are related to Utah real estate are close to that term. And then it's also going to give you a group number, and it will tell you how many people are currently using that hashtag. So what we usually want to do is select a couple of those, and we want to select different size groups. So we would select from the low thousands and maybe pick one from the million, but you usually want to stay kind of in that in between low range. So your chance of visibility is higher. But yes, just like keywords. So your hashtags work just like keywords as far as research goes. We want to search for or look for things. So tail words, phrases that people are using, keywords that people are using. And the nice thing about your captions, and this works for video as well, incorporating your keywords and your hashtags into your captions also. So the reason why, for example, if we do like a video and we encourage you to use in-platform captions instead of having an editor put the platforms on or the captions on the video outside of the platform, is because Google, all of these search platforms can pick up on your keywords in your captions. So, but if it's overlaid in a video before you post it to your platform, it cannot pick it up. So, but captions, your long form caption, we talked about that. So those are your storytelling, your long form, using your keyword, getting people to click more, read more, are the types of captions that you want to be using. Are there more questions about hashtags? I don't want to move on if anyone's unclear on how to use them or why they're important. Yeah.
Well, if you're establishing a name brand, is that a hashtag you want to repeat on most of it?
You can if you're encouraging other people to use it. So another thing, so like for example, I don't know if this is still trending. I haven't been to a wedding in a long time, but weddings used to do their own hashtags. So and the reason you would do that is because with that hashtag, if I post a photo and I use that hashtag, it gets all of the photos from that event using that hashtag into one space. So that means me as a bride, later on, I can go in and search that hashtag, and every photo anyone took at my wedding and use that hashtag, it's in that space, which is kind of cool, right? But it works the same way as a business. So like for Century 21, if I wanted people to use hashtag Century 21, or if we had a phrasing that I wanted people to use, it doesn't matter if I put it on every single post that I'm putting up if nobody else is using it. So we kind of use it to collect content and have it all be in one space. And that would be the importance of using it as a business. But in terms of searchability, people probably won't be searching for your branded hashtag unless it's a campaign that people are interested in, you know, then they might. Okay, more tips and tricks. So in platform features, so we always want to use the tools that are inside each of these platforms as much as we can. So a lot of times when we're paying somebody to edit a video for us, so for example, a listing video, I'm sure would be the most common thing that you guys might be paying someone to do. That videographer is going to put captions on your video. He's going to put music on your video. He'll put lower third slide ins on your video. Typically, you'll want to ask him, please edit the video, do the transitions, make it look nice, and don't put anything else on it. Because when you're posting it into your platform, you want to use Instagram's music, you want to use Instagram's captions, you want to use Instagram's text overlay because you'll get rewarded for all of that. The less you use inside the platform, the less you'll be rewarded. So when you're getting these listing videos, not only do you want to ask them to shoot them in a portrait mode, so in that vertical mode, you also want to tell them to leave them pretty raw. They can edit them aesthetically, they can put the transitions in, but you want to use most of the in-platform features when you're posting. Trending audio, that's what we were talking about with your reel. That's also another way to get rewarded, is to use that trending audio that Instagram's suggesting to you. And then stories versus timeline. This is something that's very important for you guys. So when should you post on your story and when should you post on your timeline? So your timeline is your evergreen content. Your timeline is the stuff that I'm going to come to your page and I want to know what you're about. So that's when you're posting things that I find relatable, that I find interesting, that build trust with you. Those things aren't going to expire. You do not want to post your open house on your timeline. Most of the time, by the time I see your open house post, your open house is come and gone and it's not relevant anymore. So when you're choosing to post something on your story or on your timeline, you want to think, how quickly do I want someone to see this and how long are they going to care? So I don't care about an open house after it's already happened. I don't care about a closing really after it's already happened. What we want to do is that stuff that expires, the stuff that is timely, post that to our story. More people will see it in real time. When it's on your story, if you're building up to an event, you can post it multiple days in a row because you know that it does expire after 24 hours. And then if you do want to store those closing videos or those closing posts in one central spot so they stay somewhere, you'll put that in your story highlight, which are those little circles that are on your profile that I'm sure you've all seen, but you don't put it on your timeline. Anything that expires or becomes no longer relevant after a certain time period, we'll put that in our story. Does that make sense? Cool. Collaborating and tagging. So we always want to collaborate. We always want to tag when it makes sense. So a lot of people will do tagging where they'll tag, my sister does this and I want to kill her. She tags every single person in the family every time she posts a photo of her kid. And I'm like, I love my nephew, but you don't need to tag me in this. I don't need to see how 120 people also love my nephew because I know he's awesome. But so the collaborating and tagging, do it when it makes sense. So that's when you're wanting to gain that other businesses or that other partners following as well. So that's when you collaborate. So if I'm posting something and I'm in partnership with an LO, we would do that as a collaboration. One, because it's legally required, but two, because that way I will also gain that LO's following, that LO will also gain my following. So it increases your audience and increases your reach. Does that make sense? Perfect. High quality creatives. This is the idea of, if you're not going to post something good, don't post anything at all. So I'm sure everybody who does their posting has been in a situation where they're like, oh crap, I haven't posted in 2 weeks. I need to get something up really quickly. And so we're posting something off brand with a spelling error that just looks awful. That lowers your credibility. I know me personally, if I see someone can't spell great, I don't necessarily want them to be in charge of one of the most monumental decisions of my life. So we want to take our time to put together high quality creatives that make sense and always post with a purpose. So go ahead.
Sorry,
Well, I was just going to say, it's better to not post something than to post something that's of low quality.
How do you feel about platforms or realtors that like help you schedule out and post stuff for you? Is that good for you or not good for you?
We'll talk about that. So we will get to that in detail. And then native posting is kind of what that is. So native posting means going to each platform and posting on that platform directly. So that means going to your Instagram and posting on your Instagram, going to your Facebook and posting on your Facebook, going to your LinkedIn, posting on your LinkedIn. That's what native posting is. Third party posting is when you use one of those platforms that posts it for you. So I've said this a million times. Instagram loves Instagram, Facebook loves Facebook. Their primary goal is to keep as many people on the platform for as long as possible. So how do you think they feel if you're using a tool that prevents you from ever having to go to the platform? They're not stoked on it. So, so yes, those are easy. A lot of people do use them. If you go back and you look at that ROI, you're not getting anything from it. The other thing with platforms like that is that content is not really customized to you. So I'm trying to think of one specific one, but I know a lot of mortgage ones. But for example, with one of the mortgage companies I worked with, they put out 50 new posts a month, I think, but we had 3,000 loan officers across the country. So it's like that's 50 posts that are being automatically posted to these people's platforms spread across 3,000 people. So that means all these people are posting the same exact thing that you're posting. And there's nothing special about it. There's nothing about that content that says this is who I am. This is why I'm great. This is why you should use me. It's just generalized content that's not relatable and not human centric at all. I would recommend using a content calendar, but this would be something that you would put together yourself. If you are ever paying someone to handle your social platforms for you, I always recommend paying someone who's very close to you. Whether that's your son or daughter, whether that's somebody, you know, that has grown up with you their whole lives. Typically, somebody younger is going to handle these platforms a little bit better. But if they're close to you, then they know your voice, they know what you're about, they're more likely to post something that is going to come off as you. But it is best to always do these things yourself. I know that's not what you guys want to hear, but it does work best that way.
When you talk about content calendar, are you meaning things like later or,
So
that's still?
a content calendar is basically just holding yourself accountable. So that would be sitting down at the beginning of each month, at the beginning of each quarter, and laying out a schedule for yourself. So this would be if you're wanting to do a weekly video series, if you're wanting to do a monthly video series, say you want to do testimonials, say you're wanting to do a series where you showcase a new brunch spot in Salt Lake every Sunday, you would schedule all of this stuff out on your content calendar. I would recommend getting as much done and banked ahead of time. So if you have like a Sunday or a Saturday where you're free and you want to go to 10 different brunch spots on Sunday and change your shirt every time, I don't know where Nick went, but that's the best way you guys are going to stay consistent. The last thing you want to do if you're promising your followers a series, so if you're like, I'm going to be here every Monday and update you on the market every Monday, and 2 Mondays in you fall off, I'm like, okay, they don't follow through with their commitments. I can't really trust them. I can't rely on them. So don't promise a series unless you're ready to back it up and store those videos, because I know you guys, I don't know if you know this about yourselves, but you're not going to sit down every week and shoot a video. So what I would recommend doing is sitting down, shooting 6 to 8 videos at once, storing them, and then having them ready to post. That would be your content calendar. Posting frequency. So this goes back to what I was saying, where if you don't have anything good to post, don't post anything at all. A long time ago, people thought that we had to post on our platforms 5 times a week, 7 times a week. I think sometimes I heard people say they needed to post on their stories 10 times a day. You do not need to do these things. It's always quality over quantity. So the way these platforms work and the algorithm works, because again, they want to keep people on the platform for as long as possible. If you post something crappy that nobody engages with, that nobody likes, that has very low visibility, Instagram will see that. Then you post something that gets low engagement again, they see that. And then they start to see a pattern and they're like, hey, everything you post kind of sucks. So the one time that you do post something good, they'll suppress that as well. Because if they're having a negative reaction to your content, they're also having a negative reaction to the platform, which Instagram and Facebook do not want. So always quality over quantity, never post just to post. It should always be thought out in adding value. Unique images. This is something to keep in mind. Does anyone use Canva in here? Okay. So Canva, I will not bash. It's a great tool if you use the paid Canva. The free one, the main problem with that is, again, we've got hundreds of thousands of people posting the same images. So when you don't have unique images, you'll get suppressed. So that even applies to us, like Tanner and I, when we're making industry related content, we legally have to use paid for, or so stock images are paid for images, or original organic images. If not, we'll get fined because we're a business. But the problem with that is these platforms will scan your image and they can see if it's a stock image. They can see how many other people are using the image, and you'll get suppressed. So you want to use unique images as much as you can. So anytime you can take or send us custom photos of your homes, of your experiences, that will always work better than stock images. And then again, leveraging UGC, which is that user generated content. So if you guys found a reel or a meme or something that you thought was super engaging, super funny, those are things that you want to share to your platform because it makes you relatable. It humanizes you. It makes people feel like, oh, I think this is funny too. I relate to them on this level. So that user generated content is a great way to post something valuable of a higher quality that you don't have to sit down and make yourself. So you can incorporate using user generated content into your content calendar as well, and just save everything in one spot. Okay. Analytics. So has anyone ever looked at their analytics on their business pages? Good, proud of you guys. So again, this is where we go back to social media marketing. They're not guessing games. We get hard analytics for what's working and what's not. I think the biggest mistake people make is they just never go back and look at it. So social media is not set it and forget it. Even if you have someone else managing your platform, it's not set it and forget it. If you do have someone else managing your platform, you should be asking them to send you analytics weekly to show you how it's performing. A lot of times what I saw this a lot in mortgage, is I'm paying somebody to post on my platform 5 times a week. I go back and look at their analytics and they have 5 followers on their whole account. but they're paying someone hundreds of dollars to post on their account, so their 5 followers can maybe see it. You want to go back and check your analytics. You want to see if your audience is growing. You want to see what people are engaging with. You want to see what isn't working and make those changes. Groups would be used on Facebook. So a lot of people ask me, how can I leverage Facebook? Because it's not as easy as Instagram in terms of tips and tricks. With Facebook, the place you want to be in is groups. The reason why you want to be in groups is because you don't have to fight through an algorithm in a group. So if you can get into these groups, you can post and talk directly to the people who are in this group. So a great way to do this is to find those topics, those interests that your target audience might have. So so your first time home buyers, or interests that you have that you could leverage in that group. I had one LO who she loved golden retrievers. So she joined Golden Retrievers of Spokane, Washington. And you just hop in that group, you post a couple photos of your dog, people start to like you, they like your dog. Hey, by the way, I'm a realtor. So that's a great way to get into these safe spots where people trust you and they want to interact with you. And then you can present yourself as that industry professional. Conversation interjection. This is how you would build your follower and your engagement. So conversation interjection would be first of all, anyone who interacts with your content. So anyone who leaves a comment, you always want to respond back. I don't care how you do, even if it's just saying thank you, if it's putting a heart emoji, if it's doing anything, you always want to try and further that conversation as far as you can. Conversation interjection would be going to 10 hashtags that are related to a space that you want to be in, going to the top 10 posts within those 10 hashtags and leaving a comment. And what happens when you see a comment from someone you don't know? You typically go to their page and you check them out. Sometimes you'll follow them. So that's the best way to improve your followers and improve your engagement, is start those conversations on those relatable hashtags. Last thing about the social strategy before we go to Chat GPT, which will be quick. I don't know how much time we have left.
We're actually supposed to be done.
Oh, cool. Well, then we'll. I just want to tell you Chat GPT real quick, so you guys can start using it because it's free. So your Chat GPT. Does anyone know what generative AI is? Lila? Okay.
She was raising her hand saying we use it. So she's gonna say.
Oh, cool. Yeah, it's amazing. So Chat GPT, it's generative AI, and what that means is it can actually generate new content. So what's different about this than other AI components that you may have used in the past, or even like Google, for example, is Chat GPT will create something new instead of just referencing something that already exists. So and it generates accurate responses in 10 seconds or less. So just think of how long it takes you to Google the correct key phrase or key term to get what you're looking for before you find it, where you can just type that into Chat GPT and it'll give you a response. So it will also help you if anyone struggles with Excel. It'll give you Excel tips and tricks. It can give you actually the formulas that you can use to format Excel spreadsheets and use them effectively. If anyone has their own website and they ever have trouble with their coding, it will actually debug your code. I don't know if anyone else does HTML coding, but it's a pain in the butt if a link breaks. You can actually copy that code, put it into Chat GPT, and it'll correct it for you. Negotiation tools, you can let them know that you're trying to put an offer in, but you're not sure how to phrase it. How can I do this most effectively? What information will be most valuable? It'll give you that conversation and generate it for you. Writing content, so that's probably what most people know this for, but it'll create your newsletter content, your social media copy. It'll create a job description for you if you're trying to hire someone. Absolutely amazing. And then you can take everything that you had it create and translate it into whatever language you want it to be in. And then lastly, lead magnets. So we'll actually create like lead behinds for you as well. That can be downloadable. So if you wanted to make a first-time home buyer's manual, it can create that for you. You can download it and send it as a lead magnet to people as well. But it's absolutely amazing. There's a lot of stuff that you can do. Yeah.
Okay.
And then GPT-4 is just the paid version. And I think it'll create up to 22,000 words for you. So that would be your super long form content. But yeah, it's amazing. So I just wanted to make sure you guys knew what it was.
Can you do graphics as well?
With Chat GPT-4, so this one you can upload a graphic and it will use it as a term of reference. So you can upload a graphic and say you're searching for something similar to this. It will identify, like, for example, if you have a plant and you don't know what type of plant it is, you can upload a photo of the plant and it'll tell you what kind of plant it is. It'll tell you what kind of bug ran by. It recognizes images. So it will appraise things as well for you. So like, say you have an antique that you want to be appraised. Obviously it'll be a little rough appraisal, but you can take a photo and it'll give you an estimated value for it. So it's very useful, very smart, almost in a creepy way. So
Would we be having any training on it?
we can, that's kind of why I included it. If anybody has interest in learning more about it, we can do a training specifically on Chat GPT, because there's endless things that you can do with it.
Actually, that would be great, because
Yeah.
I feel like people get stuck in the social media, like, I don't know what to do. There's so much content and so many features. How to simplify, but actually make it work for your advantage, people don't really know.
Yeah,
That would be great.
and the nice thing about this too is it sounds like a human. So most of the AI stuff that the AI tools you use, you know. I'm like, this was not Lila. But Chat GPT, it spits out human-like responses. So
It's nice to rewrite stuff too.
Mhm.
Like if you're taking something that's copyrighted or something, maybe this is illegal, so maybe we should say it out. There's something I need to send to someone else that don't want to be the exact same language. I'll just say, please rewrite this paragraph. It'll
Yeah,
rewrite it in a very similar way, but completely different. So
Yeah, you can make it rewrite like 10 times. It's more like you.
So can you like have it generate like a post for you?
Yes.
Basically.
you can say, can you create a 200-word post and I want it to include this. I want it to be about this. You basically just give it a couple prompts and tell them how long you want it to be. You can say, please use these 5 keywords. It'll use those keywords and incorporate it into your post.
That is genius and creepy.
No, it's creepy for
That's pretty good
sure.
on the last write up for you too.
Really?
Yeah.
Tell the bed bath count, the full parts about the property. Just spit the whole thing out.
Yeah.
Going to change. the thing.
Really? Okay, that's
Yeah.
super cool.
Yeah, and the bare bones one, which is still really good, is free. So
Do you download it to your phone or computer?
you can do both.
Okay.
Yeah.
Super cool.
Sorry, guys, I threw a lot at you. Any questions?
Maybe do a second part to this.
I say I'm more confused now than when I got here.
Oh,
I
shoot.
think a deep dive, just because it was so fast, but it was a lot of great information.
Yeah.
Just maybe.
What's funny is I was worried I wouldn't have enough information.
No, this-
We're
this
not all
only
as smart as
people-
you.
It's hard and it's so important to display your best, like, business, activities. And knowing how to use it. Makes you feel positive.
Yeah.
I think so.
Still didn't sound good, so.
Well, cool, guys. Sorry if you're confused.
No,
That's so all I heard in all of this, I know I was here for the whole meeting. Was that you're posting for this.
Oh.
No, I'm saying, said, simply conscious, hey, so.
You're late.
It does feel like another full-time job though, right? Like
It's-
trying to get it
It
all.
definitely needs to be something where you schedule time to do it.
Yeah,
So, so I would just like recommend putting aside maybe an hour in the morning or, you know, to actually engage and create content.
right.
Because it is important. I mean, it's the number one way people are consuming information and finding out about you is on your phone.
And I feel like policy in general is really behind.
So
Maybe I think that's what I'm saying, like.
I'm just such a boomer.
Adam that keeps texting us all about that social posting,
uh-huh.
and it's $100 a month. And so Stephanie Barnes and I did it to test it. They were posting the exact same thing for both of us. I'm like, this is not.
No.
I said, this is not working. Then Stephanie said, it's because you're not engaging with them. I said, it has nothing about me. It's just this, I did it 1 month. I said, no, I'm not doing this.
Yeah.
It's just a house, a video. And like you're sending the exact same thing as my coworker that's right down the hall from me.
Yep.
We can fix that. I'm like, no, I don't even want that.
Yeah. I feel like social media is the number one way that realtors and loan officers can get taken advantage of. I mean, I could have my own business and just post the same content for everyone in this.
That's what
There's
they're.
It's historical pride, like that.
Yeah, and the thing is, nobody's invested enough to check. So it's like, good thing I have a conscience or I wouldn't be here, you guys.
And it's a click of a button and.
Yeah,
Okay, so I downloaded Chat,
yeah.
right? So I'm on it. So you just type whatever you want it, like whatever you're trying to
Yeah,
say in
like-
that and it rephrases
Like you
it.
could say, like write, can you write a 200-word job description for a
So right after.
loan officer assistant or something?
Yeah.
It would just write it for you.
So I mean, I'm trying to start my social media presence for this. And I'm just wondering, so could I use that, like,
Sort of text that.
tell it what the photo is and ask it to like give me a little blurb to put on it and like the hashtags and stuff?
So-
So that like too much?
No, it's not too much. What you could